see Adam Silver said they're investigating maybe the expansion teams.
Here we go.
He was in a sit-down interview, and shout out to Adam Silver, by the way, only human who really got my back. Now, obviously, made a massive mistake whenever he do that. He pointed out that context matters, but then he would also go out to chit-chat about expansion teams for the NBA. Said a city that I don't think anybody was potentially expecting. Here's NBA Commissioner Adam Silver talking about the future of the NBA.
Well, there's been some discussion about going back to Seattle potentially. Las Vegas, no doubt, is very interested in the team. Mexico City one day. But there's lots of other U.S. cities and Canadian cities, frankly, that have reached out to us to tell us they'd be interested.
Going back to Seattle is obviously the conversation of every NBA fan, right? Because the Supersonics were so awesome. Then they end up at Oklahoma City. There was a year there where Kevin Durant was up in Seattle, right? And it was huge, sell out. And we all know the Pacific Northwest fan bases are incredibly passionate and fantastic. Did we know Mexico City was potentially on deck to get a team?
That was definitely news to me. And I think even Eddie House was surprised to hear that one.
Yeah, Skylar Breen opened his eyes up a little bit there. I think he was wondering about it all. But whenever you go to Mexico City, you start thinking about international expansion. Okay, we got teams in Canada already with the Toronto squad. We go to Mexico. Are they going to try to get overseas like the NFL? What is the NBA's big move after signing a $76 billion media deal with ESPN, NBC, and Amazon?
But you wonder if the NFL and NBA try and do it together. Like, hey, okay, if you guys want to go international and have a team, if we also add an NBA team, does that make it a little easier? Or is that just something that would make logistics easier for both of them?
I know there's similar owners in some cities where a team NFL team and NBA team would make it potentially easier for international play. Joining us now is a guy who might give us a little bit more information on the international appeal of the NBA. 14-year NBA vet, host of All the Smoke podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, Steven Jackson. Hey, okay. All right.
Squad.
Okay, I like what you're doing here. Obviously, repping all the WNBA teams. You told us that last time you came on. You're buying all the merch. Thank you for joining us. Seattle might get an NBA team again. That'd be great for the NBA, right, Stack?
That would be awesome. I have family that live in Seattle, a restaurant called Catfish Corner, who all the players been eating at. Used to be on Martin Luther King and Cherry. So Seattle is a great place to have an NBA team. It's great people there. I love the city, and it's good for the NBA.
Okay, so let's talk about Adam Silver talking about expansion. He said Seattle, Vegas. Obviously, everybody was connecting LeBron James, I think, to the Vegas team because he came out and said he wants to own the team that's coming to Vegas. Then he said Mexico City. We are obviously outsiders when it comes to the NBA. Has there always been a talk of a team going to Mexico or another international team being added, or did this just kind of come out of nowhere, Stack?
I think this is my first time hearing it as well, but I'm black skinned. I'm cool with it, bro. I'm cool with it. I grew up with Mexicans all in my neighborhood. That's how I learned to speak Spanish, man. So I'm cool with it because I love being in Mexico. I think it's dope.
Hey, NBA is obviously huge internationally. We all have known about Asia, how popular it is. We've seen the Eastern Europe crowds on how they are growing up. The stars are coming from over there. There's coming a time where there's going to be NBA international and more European games, you think? Is that just kind of how you're all assuming the trajectory of the league is going to go?
Yeah, Pat, I definitely see it where you'll have teams fly overseas and play maybe 2 games, be gone for like a week and a half and come back. You'll definitely start seeing NBA teams across the water. And I think guys are liking that because the talent, as you see now, look at the NBA. How many guys that's won the MVP has been from across the water? You know what I'm saying? You got Jokic, you got Greek Freak, you got all these guys, leaving Luka. Like, you got all these guys coming from across the water that's dominating, that's basically being close to being faces of the league. So I think it's important that we go out there and build the game across the water.
Roger Goodell saw Taylor Swift show up at a game dating Travis Kelce and went, yes. Adam Silver sees a bunch of countries now being represented in the NBA, and he's thinking the same exact thing, obviously, for expansion of the league.